The WNBA suffers in both its growth and its potential towards growing in the future because its marketing and public relations strategy is distorted and incompetent. Back in 1999, they averaged 10,000 fans in attendance at their games. Fast forward to now, it's 5,600. Now, why has this happened? It's because their marketing focuses on woke politics instead of focusing on the audience it should have. I want to show you an image because this may shock you, but this is what the average WNBA fan looks like. But you would never know that because they never market to men at all. These fans are here in spite of the WNBA. This is the fan base they should be going for. But instead, they keep focusing on only the queer community. Think about this. There's only between 10 and 12% of left-handed people in the world. If a restaurant or any other business focused on just left-handed people, wouldn't you say that they're muting their success? That there's no way that's going to work? They'd be more successful if they catered to everybody who is a potential customer. Everybody eats, not just left-handed people. Vegan, 6%. What if the WNBA just focused on their vegan players? You think that would draw a bigger audience if you just talked about the vegan players all the time when only 6% of the population is vegan? But here's what the WNBA does that's very similar to those nonsensical things. They focus on lesbians. So they're always showing their lesbian players. They're always showing all the events that go on. What shocked me one time was there was this tweet on Twitter about two events in two players' lives. One was Candace Parker, had her pregnant wife. The other was Kay Lou Samuelson, who had just gotten engaged. And what really shocked me was how many retweets and, all this big activity for Candace Parker, all of her teammates, all these WNBA, high-ranking officials were, congratulating her. I mean, there was all this buzz around it. Kay Lou Samuelson gets engaged. She barely got any response from her teammates at WNBA. You probably never heard about it. Well, this gives you a window into insight of what the culture is like in the WNBA. Although they try to deny it, it's kind of obvious it's true. And what's the horrible thing about lesbian culture is it has this explicit and implicit sort of degrading of the importance of men. So if you're a lesbian and you're going around in the world, you're seeing men and women together. You're seeing all kinds of indicators and pressure from society to be with a man. So you develop this kind of reflexive psychology where you sort of put attachments to men out of your mind. You sort of shove them away and you just sort of focus on the world of women. And feminism sort of becomes a religion in lesbian culture. It's all about women. But unfortunately, this is a business. And most of the fans are men. Look at these stats. Most of the people that really like sports are men. So it shouldn't surprise you at all, right? But most of the fans of WNBA basketball are men. But they never, ever have an ad that caters to men. There's their growth potential. It's not among more queer people. They've already maxed that out. They've got as many queer fans as they're going to get. And not everybody queer wants to look at basketball anyway. So their marketing became distorted over the years. When they first started, I've been a fan of the WNBA from the very beginning. They didn't talk about the sexuality of the players at the beginning. In fact, they would tell people that's their private life, don't worry about it. But that all changed at some point. Look at the marketing decisions they made. They made Brittany Griner the face of the WNBA. This is the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. This is a woman who got into a fight with her then fiance, a verbal altercation. It became physical. She pulled a gun on her fiance. Do you think the NBA would take a man who got in a verbal altercation with his wife or fiance and pulled a gun on her? Would that be the face of the NBA after that? But for some reason, they just kind of just glossed over that. And Griner still was the person you saw in their ads and marketing over and over again. I want to show you 3 players here. Here's Skylar Diggins, Sabrina Ionescu, and Kelsey Plum. You know, most of the people in the world are not queer and lesbian. Only about 7% of the people in the population are, yet they focus on trying to make them come to these games. Back in the beginning, it wasn't like that. There was sort of a family approach to the WNBA. It had a kind of a wholesomeness to it, but that all has changed over time, and that's why they're so stagnant. That's why things aren't going anywhere. What they need to do is turn their focus away. They got to market to men. They don't need to keep doing the things they're doing and thinking things are going to change. They hired somebody new for marketing, I think about 3 years ago. I've seen no change whatsoever. So the basketball and the quality of basketball has gone up. The marketing is still ridiculously stupid and off-center. I'm going to leave a link. I want you to look at it. The reason the WNBA isn't doing well has nothing to do. I mean, people act like it. I can tell people that criticize the WNBA don't look at the games. They do not. Because the games are entertaining and fun in and of themselves. And I'm going to leave a link. I want you to look at this game from last year, one of the best ones I've ever seen. But the real tragedy about the WNBA is this. It's entertaining sports entertainment, and if it was marketed as that, the WNBA would be about as popular as it was. They started off averaging 10,000. They should at least be at that level or higher by now. But over the years, because they focused in on the lesbian culture that's kind of just dismissive of men especially, and haven't focused on marketing to men, which is where the core audience is and the growth potential is. It's not with women. It's not with queer people. And it's not because people are homophobic either. It's just that they feel a detachment from them because that's not who they are. So when they keep doing that, that is not going to increase the viewership. People don't tune in for that. They're going to tune in because they think the basketball is fun to watch and entertaining. And that's the beginning and end of it all. They got to step out of that comfort zone where they're doing that, where they're woke politics, with the catering to their lesbian players. Because I think part of it is they don't want to offend them. So like the players that I name, like Skylar Diggins and Kelsey Plum and Ionescu, if they try to market them, I think that there'd be an uproar among whatever percentage of lesbians in the league. But if they want to survive, they've got to start marketing to not only the queer people, but to the world at large and to the fans of sports at large, which are primarily men.